Before Benzema's legendary Champions League run with Real Madrid in 2022, I think the majority of people would probably say that Luis Suarez was by far the better striker to have in your team. But since Ronaldo walked away from Real Madrid in 2018, which allowed Benzema to be the main guy for a little while, this made that entire conversation a little bit blurry. So today, we'll be going over all of the numbers, clips and articles to find out who was actually better to have in your team. Which one of these two icons was better in their primes. The period we'll be using is Benzema's 2021-2022 campaign and Suarez in the 2015-2016 campaign. Although most people like to say that Suarez's prime was his last season with Liverpool, in all honesty, that season paled in comparison to the one he had in 2016, and it would probably be a slaughterhouse if we were to compare that to Benzema's best. So Suarez's 2016 season is the one we will be working with in this video. So as usual, one of the first things that we need to analyze is how good are these two players statistically at their best. During 2016, Suarez was quite literally a monster. One that was competing with two of the greatest players to ever do it. Because he wasn't just able to outscore Messi and Ronaldo in La Liga, winning the Golden Boot in the process, he was also able to finish the season with more goal contribution when compared to the two, which is really insane to think about. To put this into context, for every 3 games that he would play, he would be getting 4.7 goal contributions, essentially 1.56 goals and assists per game. We are talking about some god tier stuff here. Benzema, on the other hand, was just a man on a mission during his legendary season. Although his goal contribution wasn't as high as Suarez during his prime, Benzema's goals were more clutch and was against more capable opponents that he had to go up against throughout the year. In a direct comparison, in terms of the sheer amount of goals that they had during their best, Suarez's prime is a lot better, because over time, with this goal ratio, the difference between them will grow even bigger. So it's safe to say that Suarez is just a lot better statistically when it comes to goals and assists when compared to Benzema, which is something that most people could deduce with relative ease. So this point goes to Suarez. But I think the most interesting thing about this debate isn't the raw numbers that most people are familiar with. It's the more sophisticated numbers based on the eye test. So again, to understand who is a better player based on the eye test, we will be looking at the 5 biggest things that's needed for a player to perform at their best. For passing, I'm willing to bet that most people think Suarez is the better passer based on the fact that he was playing under a very passing heavy system, which is Barcelona. But no, Benzema is actually the one taking the point for this section. If we are talking about the 2 biggest competition that they both had to participate in that year, which is the Champions League and La Liga, Benzema actually made more accurate passes per game with a higher passing rate when compared to Suarez in La Liga. And although Suarez did make more passes during his best UCL campaign, Benzema still have a higher passing accuracy whenever he attempts a pass. And no, this has nothing to do with difficulty either. Benzema has higher attempts and a higher conversion rate for almost every type of passing when compared to Suarez in his prime. And not only that, his passing actually looks better too. For shooting, Suarez is taking the point for this one, but I think it's really close. Benzema did have a better UCL campaign when compared to Suarez at his best, so it's not surprising that his conversion rate is better in that competition. But I think the major difference between them is their La Liga season. Even when Suarez was taking a slightly lower amount of shots per game, he still was able to have a higher conversion rate when compared to Benzema, which essentially means he was scoring a lot faster with fewer attempts, which goes to show just how great this man really was at his best. And this isn't even just about the numbers either. Suarez's goals just look aesthetically better, and no one on earth can debate about that. For dribbling, interestingly enough, during their best season, Benzema and Suarez actually have roughly the same amount of successful dribbles per match. But after looking a little bit deeper, the same can't be said about their success rate. with a dribbling success rate of around 71% for Benzema in La Liga and also a 46% in the Champions League. Benzema is a more effective dribbler from these two legendary players, needing less attempts to get past an opponent. I also took the time to check their best dribbling UCL campaign as well. In 2011, Suarez made an incredible 3.8 successful dribbles per game for Ajax, while Benzema's best, his 2008-2009 UCL campaign, he had 2.4 successful dribbles per game. But despite the amount that Suarez had per game, his success rate is just not that appealing. And again, this is far beyond just numbers and stats as well. Benzema's dribbling aesthetics is undoubtedly better than Suarez, so this one is just not up for debate. Now for speed, from all of the information that I could find on both players, believe it or not, as I couldn't, Suarez was actually the one that was faster than Benzema during his prime. During the 2022 UCL campaign, according to the UEFA Champions League website, Benzema's top speed was 32.2 km per hour, while Suarez's top speed was 29.9 in 2016. However, I was able to find multiple articles that had Suarez's top speed at 32.8 km per hour in the 2016-2017 season, which is a number that I couldn't find anywhere else for Benzema. I personally can't see Suarez beating Benzema in a foot race. It just seems weird in my head. But if that's what the numbers is saying, then that's just a point for Suarez. And finally, for strength, Benzema would take the point for this one, but I think it's really close. I think if both players were tackled in the same way over and over again, on average Benzema would be the one less likely to fall over and simulate. And to be honest, Suarez, in all honesty, is probably the stronger one naturally from the two. But again, your strength in football is measured by your ability to stay on your feet, not how much you can bench press. So, based on the eye test, Benzema is better when compared to Suarez. And when talking about statistics, Suarez is the better player. So how does this affect their impact on their teams? When looking at which one of these two players had a bigger impact, I personally believe that Benzema is the much better player. Based on Suarez's numbers statistically, he does have a much bigger impact goal-wise. But if we are talking about who is more replaceable during each player's primes, especially considering what both teams achieved during these players' primes, Benzema is honestly the most important player for me. Barcelona was able to win the Copa del Rey and the La Liga title during their 2015-2016 campaign with both Messi and Neymar on their team, while Real Madrid won the Champions League, the La Liga title, and the Super Copa title in the 2022 season. Now, you guys could call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure Real Madrid's chances of doing what they did that season without Benzema is exponentially lower than Barcelona winning the La Liga title without Suarez. I am pretty sure it's not a logical leap to say that in their primes, Benzema had a much more impactful role to play and was a key player in most of the games that they had to win. Now, in Suarez's defense, one could say that without him, Barcelona record-breaking season probably wouldn't even be possible. And I agree. But the same could be said about Benzema and Real Madrid's three-peat. Benzema's role for Real Madrid and Cristiano is probably one of the more underrated parts of his career that even most Real Madrid fans didn't even appreciate when he was there. So it's really hard to say. But I'm pretty sure it's reasonable to say that Benzema's prime was much more impactful. Even if we were to analyze this from a logical perspective, by looking at who's a better pick for a single game, a tournament, or a league season, despite the fact that Benzema wasn't scoring as much as Suarez, he is still somehow the better pick. For example, if we were to look at who is a better pick for a single game, although Suarez does have more goals with a higher goal contribution ratio when compared to Benzema, those games were against teams that weren't that competitive. Benzema was far more active when playing against really strong teams, for instance his games in the Champions League. where he was just scoring for fun. So realistically, even though Suarez does have games where he had as much as 7 goal contributions, Benzema just have games where the stakes was just more higher. And when it comes to their best tournament performance, Benzema is by far the better pick here, and I don't think I need to explain why. The only thing that's in Suarez's favor here was his league performance. With 40 goals in the 2015-2016 season, outscoring both Messi and Ronaldo, his league performance was legendary, being one of the few people that was able to win an individual award in the GOAT era. So, what's the overall conclusion here? Benzema's prime for me was much more impressive when compared to Suarez, and I don't think most people would disagree after watching this video. Although Benzema is no match for Suarez statistically in terms of goals and assists, he had a much bigger impact on his team, was better based on the eye test, won better individual awards and trophies, and is a much better pick if you were trying to go up against a really strong team for a single game or for an entire tournament. Remember to like and comment down below if you disagree or agree with this video, and also remember to comment down below who you would like to see next on this channel. And as always, thanks for watching.